This is Aquarian Anarchy, everyone. I will read our quote that is on the screen for our video viewers, and for our audio podcast listeners, I will read it out loud so that you don't wonder what the hell's going on when it's silent for 20 seconds at the beginning of the show. This is a quote from Friedrich Hayek. He says, "The argument for liberty is not an argument against organization, which is one of the most powerful tools human reason can employ, but an argument against all exclusive, privileged, monopolistic organization, against the use of coercion to prevent others from doing better." And with that, welcome to Aquarian Anarchy, everyone. I am Chad. You see Marcus and Nico down below as usual. And you see our special guest. We're going to get to him in just a minute. But first, we're going to remind you to like, to share, and to subscribe if you aren't already. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon as well so that you can get the notifications when the new episodes come out. And also go to our Patreon and become a patron. Remember, at the $5 level, you get to join our Anarch chat where you get to participate in a really lively discussion. We've had some really good stuff. I think I don't remember. I think it was maybe Daryl said this week. He's like, this chat is better, or maybe it was you, Marcus. This chat is better than half of the shit that you see from the LP national Twitter. And it's true. It is true. But anyway, go down there, show us some love, support the show, stop grifting, and throw us some ducats. And also go to the Teespring store and you can get a shirt or a hoodie. We have all the different gear there, and the banners that we have behind us. I don't have one here because I'm in a hotel in Texas. But with that, we will jump into our very special guest, Mr. Yancey, who is also in Texas.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on, my brother? You doing all right?
I'm doing all right, man. It got hot outside, so I'm inside.
Yes, indeed, it did. It was hot as shit today, man. I was out there baking.
It started off gloomy, but you know, Texas is kind of bipolar like that. It just be gray outside. You think it's gonna rain, and 11, 12 o'clock, it come the heat.
Well, and the worst part about it is that if it does go ahead and fuck around and rain for a little bit in the morning, the humidity for the rest of the day will be like a damn sauna. Yes. Because all you get is all that moisture that hit the ground evaporating in your face all day, and it's exhausting.
It's not too bad. We haven't had any too bad of a humidity in the last few years, so I can deal with it.
It hasn't been raining though. It hasn't been raining a lot.
It has been.
Yes.
My plants, they've been complaining they ain't getting any water as of lately. So I've noticed that. That's kind of peculiar though. You know, it even though it's the summertime, we at least get a little bit of rain.
No, we got too much rain, man. I got too much grass to cut. I'm tired. For sure.
Yeah, we got that going on too. We got a big shindig going on next week, not this coming weekend, but the weekend after that. And so we're getting the yard ready, mowing, doing all the dumb shit that you got to do. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad that it's summertime, man. I hate the winter. My fat ass likes heat, I guess. So I prefer the summertime.
Well, let's just get right into it with that as the backdrop to get this started. So let's talk about. You say you got a lot of grass to cut. I wanted to start with that because like the way that I sort of introed this show, you know, in the description is with the concept of Hotep and Build. Shout out to Brody for coming up with that wonderful term, Hotep and Build, because it's a great way to describe what everybody should be doing. But I said I don't know that anybody's doing it more and better and harder than you are, and so I wanted to talk about that. Like, what do you have going on? What kind of empire are you trying to build out there? If you don't mind opening up a little bit about it.
I am seriously about just leave me the hell alone. You know what I'm saying? Let me get now that I understand what living outside of the city is, and I get it. I seriously get it now. That's why I say I probably would never live in the city again. Mm-hmm. This is honestly, the pandemic actually brought this on. What we got going down here in Texas, as you know, we started off with 12 and a half, and then from there we put in for 20 more, and then from there we did 60 more. it was really about family. And my family really kicked in when everything hit. And I let he's like, you know what, you've been right, because I've been doing community living for a long time, right? But just because you do it, everybody don't understand it, and everybody don't get it until something like a pandemic happens. Now, since everybody kind of left out there on your own, so to speak, you don't know what's going on. A lot of people came around, they understood it.
Supply chain management becomes your own internal deal, right?
Yeah, correct. And everybody a lot of people just jumped on board. And so from there, we just started looking for land. Because usually what we did from Chicago to Minnesota to even here in Texas, we just kind of go into a neighborhood, get anywhere from 4 to 8 homes in one neighborhood, and we just call it that. This is the first time we actually came out to rural land. It's about peace, man. It's about peace and being left alone, and freedom and liberty. I get it, man.
Nice. So you're building your own community there. Is that what's going on?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all family and friends, and anybody honestly who just kind of want to come in. How it started when I was younger. I was born in Chicago, Cabrini Green Projects. My parents realized that whole structure, the city, that form of help from government, it wasn't help at all. It was a trap. It was just go keep you in a circle of hopelessness, poverty, and just being in survival mode. Nobody want, when you're in survival mode, you don't even know what thriving is. You don't know what peace is. You don't know what relaxing is. You don't even know what stars look like or fresh air, because you're just trying to get through the day. So that's where it started at. And we just kind of moved through the city with investing in everything and just working our way out of the system. That's when we turn our back really on government. That's why you hear me say a lot of time, like, fuck government. I don't care you right, left. It don't matter. They're not here to help me. You know what I'm saying? Because from what I've been raised in, what I was born in, they didn't help. Nobody helped. We helped ourselves.
Right.
And we did that as a community. You know what I'm saying? When people come together, whether we talk about family or an actual neighborhood, turn into an actual working community, you realize, you know what? We don't need government. We got this. We can take care of ourselves. You know what I mean? And it just blossomed from there. That was the birth of that. Then that's what got us here today. It's just now we're on land what used to be a plantation. And it's kind of getting bigger and bigger.
Nice.
So talk about the difference between, you said that the way that you guys had done it before, sort of like the group economics model was, in a city, but it was about like, maybe a handful of apartments in a building, and compare and contrast that to what type of autonomy you get there, because there is an element of it, right? Like you do depend on each other a little bit more, whereas people who live in a single apartment in a complex, well, now you have to go meet new people to try to figure out who you can borrow stuff from, or who you can knock on their door if something's, if you get locked out of your house or out of your apartment or something like that. Compare that dynamic to the dynamic that you have now when you have land, and now it's not about going to the grocery store or about going here or going there. You have a lot of different relationships that you've built, and you also have your own stuff that you have some self-sufficiency with.
Yes. So it's not a big difference, because then start off with 5 families. We realized, hey, we got to get the hell out of this hellhole. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was, my father is a Ghanaian American, right? 3rd grade traditional education. My mom's high school dropout. But my father knew how to build homes, top to bottom, start to finish, HVAC, electrical, right? Couldn't read or write though, right? Couldn't read or write, but he knew how to do those things. So he always told us about circumvention. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what? I don't know how to read or write, but you guys you definitely read. So what was happening was, the grown-ups, they were in charge of keeping us safe in survival mode, right? So there's 5 families. Everybody understood what their role was. They came together. They said, okay, hey, Miss Thomas is going to watch the kids while everybody else goes out and work and brings in money so we can get the hell up out of here. And nobody leaves until we all can leave. So what happened was, it took about 1.5 years, and everybody stacked their money up, while using the government help right? Because you got to use it as a stepping stool, as a tool.
Sure.
You know, if they gonna give you free money, take it all.
Yeah, well, they're stealing it from you through inflation and everything else anyway. So you might as well get some of it
taxes.
back. You know,
Yep.
yeah, taxes and inflation. It's a racket. But anyway,
Yeah,
so continue.
I want to comment on that real quick. And one of the things that people get, angry, totally just can't be dealing with government at all. Why the fuck would you leave a people that steal from you if you can get some of that money back? Why would someone not do that? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Yes, in the state, and once the state's gone, then that's a different dichotomy. But or a different situation. In what we're dealing with now involves the state. So just don't give them power. Take shit from them. Take everything you can.
I remember there was a thing that said there was there's like a whole group on Facebook called Ayn Rand Took Social Security. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure she probably paid into it for like her whole life when she was in the
Ron
U.S.
Paul saying.
So it's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they stole the money from you. I think you can take some of it back, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And you can still say this shit shouldn't exist. It's like if a mugger comes and mugs me, and then I chase him down and get my money back, I can still say mugging shouldn't happen, and people can't be like, well, yeah, but you got money from a mugger. Like, yeah, but it was my money that he had just stolen from me when he fucking mugged me.
Right.
Goddamn.
Right.
True.
Anyway, continue, Yancey. You were
My father always said you got to learn to legally circumvent. As long as you do things legally, and he always taught us too. Look, America is good at legally oppressing people, legally stealing. So you got to learn how to legally steal your money back. So that's where you see me say there's no such thing as fair share. It's not. So that's why it's tripping out when people get to talk about capitalism, like they're not paying their fair share. I'm like, look, fair share is for poor people. That's just what it is. And so the difference. So let me get back to the difference. So there was no difference because it's always a family unit. You know what I'm saying? You always got to stick together because here's the thing: for group economics or even community living to work or that type of mindset, everybody has to come together, and you have to have an understanding of principles and values of the group while not leaving the individual behind. Because here's the thing: I 100% believe in tribalism, right? But it's a healthy tribalism. It's not like, hey, you know what, you're in the group, so fuck your personal growth. That's stupid. You know what I'm saying? That you never want to do that, right? So it's the group has to come together. You create principles and values how you choose to move, right? Now the principles and values of the group, then my parents and the other elders, then it was like, okay, what we need to do is work, and we need to start owning things. So before they even owned any homes, they bought corner stores. The blueprint was, look, we're gonna take a 4x4 block radius in the neighborhood of our choosing. Before we were still on the west side, now we moving to the south side. So take 4x4 radius. You buy the commercial property first, right? And because that's the stores and everything, blah 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 blah. And then we end up getting 2 duplexes for still, because it's Chicago, so a lot of stuff was abandoned, so you can really get it for like $2,000, $10,000. And since my dad knew how to do that thing, he knew how to build homes, and the other men, they went for some type of trade as well. They renovated them. And then it was 5 families. We all didn't move until we all could move. So we only had 2 duplexes, and then it was a house down, two houses down, and we bought that single family home. And that's how that worked. And that's how that started. And from there, it was acquire property. Because that's all my parents and everybody knew how to do at that time. They weren't worried about stocks or anything else like that. It was like, look, we could have just start owning everything. Since they said we can't have it. So now, fast forward to now, the difference is we actually on land, right? And you take city folks and you put them in the country.
It's an adjustment.
On 94 acres, and it's like, that's why I say I got too much grass to cut. You know,
you don't really cut it so much. You bush hog it, right?
And so it's a whole different adjustment. It's a whole different adjustment because you are taking city folks and you're taking people from different areas. You're talking Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Some from down south, and you really now everybody is really in one spot. So that. Now it's almost a reset. You know, it's like, all right, let's come together. Let's get some general understandings that the group come up with and agree on. because this is not a government thing or 5 people are in charge. It's like, no, we all have to live here. And we all have to have some type of peace about that, and we have some understanding about it.
Yeah, and what?
Living,
Go ahead, Nico. I'm sorry.
and now living with like everybody coming from all the different areas, are they all like whole households, as in they have mother, father, kind of dynamic, or does it
Mixed? It's a mix. It's a mixed thing.
mix? Okay.
Yeah, because it's really, man, it's about structure. It's about the, like I said, tribalism.
Right.
It takes a village. So what we don't like to do is have say stuff like it takes a village. A lot of people say that, but they don't really know what the hell that means. They just say it just to say it.
Like Hillary Clinton.
Because it sounds good. It takes a village. Like, what do you mean it takes a village?
Right.
But when a lot of people were scared that when I was sharing this on Twitter about it, was like, you creating a compound, you in Texas, we don't want what happened in Waco to happen. Because first of all, I'm proud to listen.
Yeah.
Give me land, give me my guns, leave me the fuck alone. Really, and that's what I was. And people was like, man, we don't want Waco to happen out there. And then once you start saying that you're into saying things like we're into self-segregation of economics, people hear self-segregation, they automatically think black nationalists, you racist, you don't like white people. It's like, no, it's not that at all. I was like, I always ask people, give me an example of a group that's successful in America that hasn't self-segregated.
Sure. Yeah, the thing is, you're right about all of that. And I did an article on my Steemit page probably about 2 years ago where I talked about the exact same kind of ideas that you're talking about, where because people think tribal and they automatically think it's got to be bad. And one of the things I pointed out is there's good things to tribalism. Let's imagine, my ancestors are largely from Europe, and let's imagine that my ancestors are in the middle of Germany, and they might have a little crest that they used or whatever, and they see somebody else, they're visiting some town, and they see that crest that's their family crest or whatever. They instantly know, oh, this person is going to be relatively similar to me. They're going to have similar values, they're going to have similar upbringing, those kinds of things. Right. And there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, this is my tribe. These are the people that I associate with, and it's fine to have symbols and things like that to associate with. What becomes the problem with tribalism that we see when we have the growth of the state is that it's forced. You're not telling people they have to come to Texas. You aren't, putting a gun to their head and saying, all right, guys, load up in the truck. We're going over here. Right. No, they're voluntarily cooperating. Another thing I wanted to bring up is what you're doing also, fits into Locke's idea. And I use Locke a lot because he really does set a lot of ideas that wind up being liberty ideas. And Locke talked about building community, and what you're talking about when you say, setting the ground rules more or less and saying, this is what we're going to be about. These are the things we're going to agree on, those kinds of things. Locke described that in detail on government. And what he talked about was, in a just governed society or just community, you would have people who the way to have a legal system, if you will, or a ethical system is by just posting whatever your rules are, or in your case, making people aware of that. So what you're doing is absolutely in keeping with the ideas that frankly founded the United States. These are the kinds of ideas that brought about that large community.
Correct. But when you say words like self-segregation, everybody think it's some sinister thing, like you have a bad intent. It's like not at all. It's like, look, I love everybody, and you know what I'm saying. So and then you get into the all the things that black people can say and do versus what white people can't say and do. So like black power, white power. It's like, look, I don't care either way. That's the thing about being liberty and freedom minded. It don't bother me. You should be about your people. You should be about who you are and your family and your community. Whatever that community makes up, that's your community. that's your people. You know what I'm saying? And people don't understand that. They think it's a race thing or a color thing. It's like that's not it at all. You know, like I said, we have mixed families here. Period. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's. I always tell folks they say, you know, you can't just be about black people and black empowerment. I say, why not? I said, you can rattle off to me. You can go down a list of statistics and tell me black on black crime, single mothers, poor marriage rate. We are black people on the bottom of pretty much every financial metric ever, right? I said, so why wouldn't I be about black empowerment? Because that's the group that need help. Right.
For sure.
That makes sense.
Absolutely.
I'm one of those people who like whenever I'm watching, whenever I used to watch like ESPN like late at night and stuff like that, and they'd have like the Australian rules football or like some whatever random sport or whatever. I always rooted for whoever was losing because I wanted to see him make a comeback. You know,
Right,
like I was always like, and so I've always been like a big proponent of the underdog because to me it's just, first of all, it's a better story. Like it's more enjoyable. Like I've been a Cubs fan my whole life, so there was nothing like right. There was nothing like watching them win the World Series after 108 years of futility, and going through the whole life as a fan and not seeing them win, and then finally like reaching the summit. You know, so I totally vibe with it, and also like on that whole to your point about being freedom and liberty minded when you think that way. You don't really have a problem with those things, you know, people saying black power, white power, whatever it is. That's where I approach this from. Like when I saw what Hotep Nation was and what the direction that it was going, I was like, I'm totally on board with that. This needs to be amplified because that whole mindset of building together and building something that makes it to where you can fight back against the BS that's been going on for a couple of centuries or millennia. I don't see how you couldn't get behind that because in case people haven't checked, as George Carlin said, there's a big club and we're not in it. So we got to build our own clubs.
Right.
Yeah, no, I was going to advocate for like putting a more of a spotlight on the idea of like coming together as a community. Like what you're doing is fucking amazing. Like I most definitely would love to see that in my future. Just the idea of genuinely seeing a community grow up because I mean, yeah, the communities you grow up in your neighborhood, they're cool and all that, but it's like you guys are all there because you conveniently decided to move into each other. It's a whole different story when you actually choose to move in a certain area and know the values of the people that are around you.
Living together, surviving, and thriving is three totally different things. You know what I'm saying? When you get, that's why I always say to change, people like, well, how can we change the culture? Well, let's understand something. It's not one culture of black people. Just as I really want people to dead that when they speak about the black culture, it's like, what culture are you talking about? There's an array of cultures with under the black diaspora. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so you can spend a day on Twitter and find that shit out.
Yeah, exactly.
All the arguments and everything.
So it's like you have to go into these individual neighborhoods and you have to figure out what these people need and what they want. And you have to change. You have to take neighborhoods and turn them into actual working communities where people know each other, where they know their gifts, their talents, you know, their name, their family. You know what I'm saying? People live on the street and they don't even know for their neighbors. I think that's crazy. Me personally, I have children. I have children. Look, I'm knocking on everybody's door. How you doing? My name is Antoine. Who are you? Because my kids is for to play on this block.
Right.
True. So
for sure.
That's how I get down. It's like you have to get neighborhoods becoming communities again. When that happens, a lot of things will change in the bad areas.
For sure. And that's true no matter what a person's color is. Me, myself, I'm black from the waist down. But y'all can't see that. Y'all can't see that. I'm wearing black pants. But, I knocked Chad right the fuck off.
Oh my God, Marcus. You find a way.
I know,
every so often.
Yeah, I know, it's great. But no, seriously, what you're talking about is exactly what Amber and I, my wife and I, have talked about doing. We are moving. We would like to move in a direction where we buy a bunch of land and then move our family in, move the people that we care about that are around us into that area, giving them a home and those kinds of things, but have their own house. Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. But seriously, what you're talking about, everybody should be doing that. No matter where your community is, there's a chance that where we live now, we may have to move. Our neighbor came over in tears because our daughter was bugging the hell out of her and talking to her. And we told Anya, which is my daughter, don't be bothering the neighbor and don't annoy her or whatever. Well, she goes over and it's like, I'm not annoying you, am I? And so this way, right.
I love kids. Kids are so awesome.
Right. So she comes over with tears in her eyes because her and Anya talk, and this is an older woman. She's like in her late 60s, early 70s, and so she knows if there's a chance we may move, and she's got tears in her eyes, saying, "I don't want you guys to move. You're the best neighbors we've ever had. Blah blah blah," and that's the kind of thing that we need to start developing, whether in our, whether that is our tribe or otherwise. Those are the kinds of ideas that need to be cultivated, because we don't take this behemoth of a government down by screaming, yelling, and throwing up some guns. That's not how we get there. We get there by making them irrelevant, and how we make them irrelevant is by building our communities and relying on each other.
Right. Correct. 100% agree. 100% agree.
So, if we were going to do what you're doing, how should we begin?
I would say get whether it's 2, 3, 4 families, however many it may be, individuals, it doesn't matter. I think it's really important that everybody sit down and you come up with it may take a couple of days, maybe take a week or so, but the principles and values of the group is seriously important. That's like a nucleus. It'll hold everything together when shit kind of hits the fan or things are going everywhere. You can always come back to it. It's like, look, this is where we're headed. This is where we're going. So just hold steady a little bit. But like I said, it also in that you cannot forget about the individual, right? So my dad, one of his standards is this. Every child at 18, no matter what, at 18 they get 3 rental properties. Period. That's your start. Whether you're not ready, whether you're smart, whether you get 3 rental properties, right? And then the
manage or to own?
To own.
To own. Okay.
To own. Yeah. There's a reason my 19-year-old is in the back, and he doesn't know what he wants to do. He don't know if he want to go to college or not, because the kid has an income already.
Right.
And so it's like you worry about the group, but it's about the individual as well, right? So it's like if somebody was supposed if they came in like today, right, and they say they was a single mom, 2, 3 kids, we'll sit down with everybody and just talk to her, like, what is your aspirations as a human being? Not even as a mother, but as a woman. Who are you? What do you want to do? Because that's important. Because if someone is not who they are, if they can't walk into who they are, they're not going to be part of it. They're not going to be helpful in a group setting.
True.
It's like they have to benefit one another.
Yeah. No, it's like you're in like almost like a marriage type of bond where you have like there's the group. There's the, or the married couple or whatever, but then there's also each of those individuals has to be watered as well and fertilized as well. Otherwise, the whole ecosystem dies because
the
you
people
can't
make
have
the whole.
right.
The whole, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to make sure everybody is okay, while keeping the principal values of the group of us moving forward. Like, look, hey, listen, give us so we say give about a year to 18 months, right, of coming in, and we get everything figured out as far as which, you know, your contributions to the group, and then it's like at that point you're on a path of ownership after that, really, because we've invested in you and we're getting you started. It's all about mindset as well, because some people don't want to do that, and that's perfectly fine. Some people don't want to invest. Some people don't want to be on that type of path, but they just want to be part of a community. And that's perfectly fine too. You know, so it's like, okay, but if you do want those other things, the group can definitely provide those to help you with those things. That's what group economics is. Because here's the thing: if I walk into a bank and say, hey, I need $1 million, they'll look at me and there'll be a whole bunch of application process, probably denial or whatever, right? But if 20, 30, 40, 50 people walk in as a group and we're structured as a business, hey, we need $2-3 million now. It's very hard to say no. Extremely hard to say no at that point. So it's like the buying power goes up, so we can kind of get what we want. That's why we're able to give the children, the 18-year-olds, properties. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we're able to jump into business ventures that usually a single person couldn't really do without a whole bunch of debt to income ratio.
That's really interesting. You've got me thinking because
me too.
Right, because I have a pretty good set of a community, whether it's, you know, a direct family or just outside of family kind of situation. And you're right, bringing a bunch of varying incomes into a bank, and you have a business setting, and that absolutely makes sense to me. That's a good plan.
You should most definitely write a book on this, and like how
for
to
sure
live in your own America.
Aren't you writing a book?
That's what Felicia wants me to do it so bad. Yeah, and it's like
shout out to Felicia.
Because I tell
for sure.
The thing is, people always ask why I don't never do interviews and why I never really step out of things and the things that we do inside of communities, why we don't involve government, because it's like, look, we don't want their attention, we don't want them involved,
right?
You know, because what we got going on, we don't want them a part of it, because they go get in, they go fuck it up.
Right.
They can't be trusted with anything. It's gonna become a political football. It's gonna become a hey, look, I always say, they would not use what I do and what my group does against black people. You know, to say, hey, they did it. Like, no, because we say fuck you. That's
right.
Do you really want our full message?
Right. Well,
what do you guys do about education? And also, since you guys are community, how's you guys is like, policing? In a sense,
we believe in self-governance. That point blank period, right? We believe in self-governance, and when we go into neighborhoods and we put in infrastructure, no matter what, we tell people that, like, hey, you want a lower police presence? How about you need to start self-governing? You can't say fuck the police to fund the police without replacing it, right? This is the part, and this goes into neighborhoods becoming a community. A lot of people, like I said, from Chicago, a lot of people don't want the truth when they say, "What about Chicago? What can we happen for gun violence?" Right? And I tell them, "Do y'all really want to talk about it? What it's gonna take? Because what it's gonna take, I guarantee you won't like, because it's gonna add to those statistics, right? Because here's the thing: a criminal is a criminal, right? They don't. There's a reason bodies is dropping all the time. Here in Texas and Chicago, the bodies dropping, right?
I live in Baton Rouge. It's bad in Baton Rouge too, man. I had a body dropped off 3 doors down from my house, my old house.
And it's like this. You know what's going to stop that? They understand money or they understand fear. You know what I'm saying? You got to start putting dogs in the middle of the street. You got to set rules. It's like, hey, this block, like in Chicago, even like now, the blocks where we own homes and everything, those things don't carry on. You know what I'm saying? Those things don't happen because there's an understanding. Hey, on this block, that can't happen. If that happens, this is the consequence. And people got to understand, it's okay to shoot back.
Yeah.
There's no way a child, a mother, or elder should be murdered on your block and you don't know who did it and where to find them at.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Hell, police.
Sure.
It is a body in the middle of the street. We don't know how he got there.
Right. Yeah,
But
because
people
they
don't
and they don't care, and your community cares.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? But it's
Mhm.
like when you start setting with those type of rules with real life consequences. Because here's the thing: people are like, what are you saying? And isn't that just a cycle? I said it's the cycle of survival mode. Y'all trying to fix people in survival mode. When you're in survival mode, people at the bottom, they eat each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're not fit to go to the suburbs and try to punch up. No, you eat who next to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's just the rules of that area, that environment. If you can't abide by those rules, maybe you're not made for it. Maybe you really need to figure out a way to leave. If you can't, then it's like you got to suck it up, buttercup. This is the rules. You can either sit and pray and hope that you're not a victim, or you can take action. Look, this is what it's going to take for them to leave us the hell alone.
Yeah. And when you're talking about like the whole, them keeping you in, or being kept in like survival mode, like you're talking about, that's just Maslow's pyramid. At the end of the day, that's simple psychology. It is just, if you keep people at that bottom level, if you keep them where they're worried about where they're going to eat the next meal, they're not going to self-actualize. And what you're talking about is becoming self-actualized. You're self-owned, realized, and living your own life in the way that you choose to live it. And how you keep people from being able to do that, and how you keep them under your thumb and under control, is by keeping them under your control, by keeping them worried about where they're going to get their next meal. This entire last year should show how you do that, because that's what they've done. They've taken the entire country and put them at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid. And people like yourself, you're not really going to need to sure, there's going to be people that are going to freak out and this and that and the other thing, but largely the economic woes aren't going to impact you as much as somebody who isn't in your community, because you're already up that pyramid.
Right.
True. Right.
People got to be willing to make the tough calls and the hard decisions. It's tough to get out of hell. It's tough to get out the rat race. Understand, some governments need poor people. They need people that they control, that's going to remain controllable. That's going to remain let me see, on the teat. Exactly.
Slaves.
You know what I'm saying? No, and it's like, don't matter who it is, no matter what color they is. I often tell black folks, like, let's do the math, right? They say we're at 13%, right? But they also tell you that we're the poorest. How does that make sense? If the majority is at a 60%, it's more poor white people than black people. Just do the math. Just do the math, and you can look up the numbers yourself. I was like, so listen, don't let people let people tell you who you are and where you are on the scale of things, because that is a mind fuck. They want to keep you in that mindset of, I'm at the bottom, the top is a long way, I can't do it. It's easier to do that with the group. You get that group together, and y'all just grind it out. Y'all set standards for the groups, and y'all set standards for the communities that y'all live in. Hey, all that stupid shit, all that recklessness, that can't happen over here. That will not happen over here. Because if it's gonna be dog eat dog, if it's gonna be dog eat dog, well, we for to eat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're looking real delicious right now.
And
watch out now.
Right. And I love what you're doing, man. This is, the thing is, these are the real solutions. These are the real ways to get out of this bullshit. We talk a lot about theory, and people argue, is this the right way or that's the right way? Who gives a shit? Get down to it, do the brass taxes, put your money where your mouth is, and move forward. Get your shit done. Do for you. Protect your community. Protect your life. Do that shit for yourself. There is nobody that's going to fly in with angel wings and protect you. You are the only person who will. And the quicker you learn that.
Nobody's coming. I tell you, nobody's coming. And I learned that the hard way. Like I said, Cabrini Green Projects is a rough place. You know what I'm saying? It was government help, and government left us there with the worst of us.
Yeah, yeah. They either leave you there amongst that stuff, or if they come in, you know, it's they're not always they're not bringing care packages.
Correct.
You think
they're bringing violence and their own way of doing that stuff. They're just a rival gang at that point. If you know when there's any kind of bullshit going down, and it's their turf, you know, and they're gonna run it. So,
just make it your turf.
Yeah. So I guess for my like where my mind is kind of focusing right now on what you were talking about was this building, like from let's say you're in a situation. I'm gonna ask on Nico's behalf. Nico lives in Chicago, and you know he's got a decent sized family, brothers and sisters and everything. What's that?
A fat ass family. we're Haitian.
A big family. Yeah. But so like, how do you, and then even like for me, like, cause where I am is I live in Louisiana, but it's, you know, it's me, my wife and kids and my mother-in-law. We live, you know, in a house together. So we're not doing anything like what you're talking about, where we're building some sort of, you know, community of a, you know, group of 20, 30, 40, 50 people where we have that kind of leverage to make something like that happen. What are the baby steps that like I can take, that Nico could take, that Marcus can take, that we can kind of build our way towards something like what you're talking about, and how easy is it? Because I'll be perfectly honest. I hear people talking about, you know, buying commercial real estate or buying some residential real estate that they can that you can, you know, rental properties and things like that. But it's always been like a little bit intimidating to me, because like for me, the stuff that I'm actually living in is enough of an albatross, and like going and finding the other stuff and like knowing what to look for and not getting, you know, caught with some sort of big yoke on my neck that ends up costing me a bunch of maintenance and like all kind of other shit, you know, to renovate and everything else. And I end up underneath it. And,
so you have to think
now
about
I can't pay it off. How do you start off, and what do you look for?
It's easy to take those gambles with a group when it's not just you. You know what I'm saying? It really is, because you know what, you have a lot of trial and error that you can, you know what I'm saying? When it's just you, like if it was just me and my wife, you know, I couldn't move like I moved, for the simple fact now we have a small margin. We got a small margin of error, because you know what, we don't want to be underneath anything. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to things, and you got to have people in place. Thing is, when you have people in place that know trades, you know, it makes that stuff a lot easier. That's why I be like, shout out to the Mexican homies. Shout out to them, because you there go buy a property, and next thing you know, it'll be Coronas, Modelos, and tacos, and it's 12 people in there, and you like, what the hell is going on in there? Let's go check it out. You know, now they didn't turn the crack house into a luxury duplex. You know what? I love it. That's right. I love it. That's right. It's about community, because at the end of the day, look, it's not about where you started. Because like, even though there's land, it's a mindset thing, right? Now we can afford to build. We can afford to build homes, but what we learned is when you get land like this, every home go add to your taxes. Period. Right? But every home, if whoever takes out a loan, those lien holders want to attach that home to the land. It's like, oh no, we don't want to do that. You know, so the house this right here, it's a manufactured home. You know, 2,300 square feet. I bought it for $34,000. Stuff like that. It's just about changing mindsets. And so the first step is actually having conversations with people, taking the pressure off yourself, and hopefully you can find some people that are on the same track as you. That way you can go into these investments with a partner. You know what I'm saying? Where the way they all on you. So now if we share the load, you know, we should turn out just fine. You know, because how ours work is first things first. We take care of elders, we take care of women and children, period. So our elders, they live free. It doesn't even matter if they're still in Chicago or Minnesota. Those houses that we like, our investments, our dividends and all that pays their way of living, period. You take care of your elders. You know know what I'm saying? Just as simple as that. Because as much as you give back, you get back. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So is it first steps? Having conversations with people. Is everybody willing to relocate? If they're not, that's just fine. We live in a world we don't have to relocate to invest. Like if us four right now we decided, hey, you know what? We all got $20,000 or $10,000. You know what? Let's go. Would it be better us to start in Louisiana or Indiana or Chicago? As far as an investment property, I'm sure we can find something for 20, 30, 40,000. Why not? You know what I'm saying? And let's do it that way, right? And we start there. So now you got your property. Fix it up. Now you got something to leverage to something bigger if you choose to.
Right.
So now you have a property. You can either put your own people in there, or you can put somebody else in there. Either way, rent is coming in, and you just keep duplicating that way, right? And then, because you can't do this, you go do this. This is all new to people, period. So you got to do it scared. I just tweeted that. You go be scared when you're doing this stuff for the first time, when you're going into any deal because it's new, and it's like you just kind of got to go. I think that's the whole thing of actually being on the bottom. When you're on the bottom, it's like, well, we ain't got shit to lose.
It's nothing to lose. Nothing to lose makes for bravery.
We got to help this thing. That's right. And so those roadblocks and barriers of, man, what if this goes wrong? It's like, well, we already in shit. How worse can it get? Right. You know what I'm saying? And then it gets to the point where you're like, oh, we're rolling. And then you start circumventing. You're understanding what taxes is, and you're understanding things that you can do to hide your money, tax shelters. You understand how different applications and forms of things you can roll in. We're talking about self-directed IRAs, 401ks, and how that rolls into real estate. You start educating yourself on those steps and those things that you can do, right? Because when you start to get money, you learn how to insulate and keep it. And that's from that's from everybody else, and that's from government. Hey, we poor. Listen, I don't care how many acres we got. It's poor. We bought this with food stamps.
Well, yeah. Well, look, the reason I wanted to ask you that and ask you the way I did was because, like, I think it's real easy in a position like we're in, where we're hosting this show and everything, and we've got to come off as though we're experts on shit or aficionados on shit or whatever, or anything like that. Yeah. Like, I don't fucking know. And I'm not even, I don't want to hide behind like, well, let me pretend like I know what he's talking about and just pretend like this is just for the audience. Hopefully the audience is getting something out of my ignorance because, I'm just going to be perfectly honest. This shit, like a lot of that stuff with real estate and everything, it intimidates me. Like the stuff, just buying a house and then selling that house and buying another house, that stuff is stressful enough for me. I went through a situation, not the house that I'm in now, but the house that we lived in before. When we bought it in 2007, we bought it like right as the housing market was starting to crash, and I went 3 months where I was paying 2 mortgages and a bridge loan for the down payment on the new house because I bought a house and hadn't sold my old house yet. And that shit, on top of costing me like 10 grand or whatever it was, it like to give me a heart attack and scared the shit out of me. And then when we bought this house, I put the offer in. Now I was smart this time. I got a contingency this time. But anyway, put the offer in, and then Corona hits. The fucking everything gets shut down. I was like, oh my God, are you fucking kidding me? So anyway, a lot of this stuff, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm like very, very risk averse. Even in my like stock investments and stuff like that, I'm really, really conservative with how I structure that stuff and everything. So for me, learning how to approach that stuff and having more of that risk tolerance, but also like where to go to get the information to know what to even look for, where to even go to start this, because I think you hit on it. You start with that baby step of like just something that's like maybe 10 or 20 grand or something like that, or 30 grand. That's not a huge, eat your whole nest egg up or anything like, or put you deep in debt sort of investment that if it goes sideways and you end up losing, so you're not going to lose all of that. You might lose some, but you're still gonna be okay. Like my parents did.
Still going to be worth something.
Right. My parents bought a thing in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, a couple of years back. They bought a condo for the purpose of renting it and then having like maybe 5 or 6 weeks a year where they could go and enjoy it. They start moving. I mean, they bought furniture, they bought like a hot tub, all this stuff. You had to have all these amenities and everything. They put all this shit in, and they're unloading some chairs and stuff like that out of the truck. And one of their neighbors comes over and they're like, "Oh yeah, y'all are moving in." And my dad is like, "It's like, yeah, we're trying to get it ready so we can start renting it next month." And the guy's like, "Oh no, this is a no rental residential area. You could not rent for under 1 month at a time." And they were planning on doing, just like your standard condo thing where you rent it for a week at a time for vacations and stuff like that. And so, it's like $260,000 that they had put into this thing. Wow. And then they had bought all this other shit and everything. Luckily, they found like an old couple that was retiring that wanted to move up there and live there. So they sold it and got out of it. They took maybe like a $10,000 bath on it. But that's the sort of stuff that I hear that kind of shit and my risk averse nature kind of kicks in. And so it tends to make me a little more, like I just kind of build quietly and slowly in other ways, but it's a lot smaller, and it doesn't like the shit that you talked about that you're pulling off. Even with a large group of people is really impressive. And I definitely off air, I'll probably pick your brain some more, but I want to kind of tap into that. Like, so what would you kind of recommend? And I'm not saying like, financial advice or anything like that. Everybody, disclaimer, this is not anything where, you should go and jump into this and then blame us for Yancey for anything that goes.
Well, what you should do first before you don't blame us is give us a shit ton of money first. That's right. We definitely we invest in our ideas.
That's right. But no, like what would you recommend or suggest as far as like that little starter thing? Like where should we look? What should we be looking at? In terms of like how to find the right kind of property or something like that to look for.
My first home I had at 21. I was out in college at St. Cloud. My mom called me. She said, "I need you to get down here. You're going to go buy a house." Mind you, I had a credit union account since I was 14 that she was on, and I could not take money out of this account. So for 14 and 21 was just money going into this account. I was cutting grass and doing all that type of stuff. But anyway, 21, she said, "Come down here. I'm gonna go buy a house." I'm like, "Well, what money?" She was like, "With the money that you work for, and I'll match it or whatever." We started at in Ramsey County at the county auction. The house ended up being for 18.7. That's it.
Wow.
All you saw was a picture.
Right.
That's it. It's like got it. And then that was my house until I moved to Texas.
Oh, wow.
So how it worked was it was a fixer upper. So now you got to deal with, okay, you get in, now you got to bring it up to code and everything like that. It's like, that's when you start using other people's money, and their sentiment for help, right? And so we get Frogtown CDC grant loan for like $87,000. That puts Newton Foundation. That gets plumbing. That gets some wiring stuff done. And siding and new windows. Oh, I had a kid, so because I had a kid, we get brand new windows in the house.
Oh, right?
Wow! So that's what I'm saying. Stuff like that. Find out what they go give you for free, and take it all. Yes, I have a kid. Yep, I got a kid. Use him too. That's right. You work something. You work some windows. You work some new windows. We're gonna get new windows, right?
So what do you mean? This is something from like from the bank or from the government?
This was a neighborhood government program.
Oh, okay.
And so the terms was this: we gonna give you this $87,000, right? 32 of it goes away in 7 years. The rest of it, if you stay in a home for 10 plus years, you will pay a percentage of it, right? If you choose to sell it, but if you choose to keep it, you never pay. You own the home straight out, right? And that was the terms. Well, I'm comfortable around my people. I don't care about what's going on around here. You know what I'm saying? I'm comfortable. I'm living rent free. So I mean, mortgage free. Excuse me, mortgage free.
Right.
Stayed there until I moved here. You know what I mean? And that's just how that works. It's like you get somewhere and you figure out what they're offering. Take every bit of money, period, and use it as a tool. You know what I mean? If it's just to start a house, it's just to start a house. You can either choose to keep it or you can choose to offload it if you choose to. But you got to make sure they get their cut too, if you choose to take advantage of one of those programs. But so county auctions, good place. And I hate to say it, and it's really unfortunate, but the times that we're in with this pandemic, a lot of homeowners just kind of got jizzed on, and they need to offload their property.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just what it is. Get into start befriending general contractors, you know, because what they can't jump into, they may give you a call like, hey Chad, hey, I got an opportunity here. You know, now understand something. At that price point, sometimes you go be maybe in a neighborhood you ain't comfortable in. You know what I'm saying? It's like, do you want to take the steps to be a landlord in this neighborhood? What's your comfort level? You know what I'm saying? And then once you see, let's say you're like, you know what? No, I don't want to be a landlord in that area where I have to deal with the tenant. So it's like, okay, now you can pay somebody to deal with them if you choose to. You know, you take that, because here's the thing. Wealth building is very intentional, right? You got to think long term. You got to think 5-10 years down the line. So it's like, okay, I want this house, right? But like you said, like you have to, like that situation you just described of offloading one house and trying to buy another one. It's like me, I wouldn't have did. I would have held it for the simple fact is, okay, you know what? 5 years, I'm gonna just use this for leverage. When I go to the bank and say, hey, I need $1.3 million,
just hold it and rent it out.
I got this house over here that's paid for. You know what I'm saying? I got it for 18.7. It's worth 117. You know, Now this is capital you already have that you don't know you have until you need to use it.
Right.
Sure. And what you're talking about, you got to understand. I don't have the kind of problems that you're talking about. I live in hillbilly hell, and for me, what I'm seeing is property is, you know, taking what you're talking about and applying it to my situation. I live in relatively rural Indiana, and for me, it ain't no thing. The property is way more expensive than the housing. You know, you can go right now and search in my area and find a mobile home for $6,000. Buy it outright. You can buy a mobile home right now that works. It's shitty looking. You got to put new carpet in it. You got to paint the walls, do all that stuff. But
just you live on land in a trailer. Yeah.
Right. And you get 3 or 4 of those together and start renting that shit out and live in one, and then you can build a house. You know, I'm really thinking that might be in my future. I've already put some of these thoughts together anyway. But what you're talking about, because what I can do is I already have a community base that I can reach out to and say, hey, this might be my son is Raven is relatively good with his hands, and he's right now working for you're going to love this, but he works for an Amish electrician. So figure that because,
oh man!
Yeah, but the thing is, Amish build shit, and they need to know how to put electricity in. So my son is learning how to do things like put in, solar panels. He's learning how to wire up everything. He's learning all that shit. So I kind of and I've already got some carpentry skills myself, because I worked as I built furniture for roughly 10 to 11 years. So I know how to build shit. You can put a saw in my hand and I know how to do it. And I also laid carpet for 2 years. So I have some of those basic skills that it would take, and anybody can paint a wall, so right. I have some of those basic skills that it would take to do that. And if I were to bring my children into this idea, then we start getting some more hands behind what we're talking about and
Yes, sir.
building more of what you're talking about. What you've laid out, I'm going to think about for a while, and I think that I might be able to apply what you're talking about directly to benefiting my family in the long term. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be in the next month. But it might be something that I've got a nest egg of Bitcoin that's growing underneath me right now, and being that what is it? El Salvador just started recognizing Bitcoin. They will not be alone. So what I've predicted for some time, Bitcoin's going to bounce, and it's going to bounce high. And so once governments start buying into Bitcoin, we're going to see that fly through the roof. And the investments that many of us have in Bitcoin that we've saved onto are going to be very good as the beginning funds for exactly what you're talking about. So, so again, I think that the what your plans that you've laid out, I have to talk to my wife, and I'm going to likely talk to my children about it, but I may very well put the ideas that you just laid out into process in Indiana. I'll cater it to myself. And
no, it works. If I wasn't on an actual webcam, I would take my phone over to the window here. Like I said, we live in manufactured homes, right? Yeah. Manufactured homes. My sister lives here. My mom lives there. My aunt, my other sister, my cousin, my cousin. Right? They're all manufactured. They're all manufactured homes, right?
And that's nice.
Crazy. When we start putting these in, little did we know, people started kind of riding by, and they started like, "Hey, you guys are renting?" We like, "Well, no, we're not renting. No, this is private property, right?" And so we started thinking, well, we do got a lot of acreage, right? So once we decide we want to go build some home, we can go on the total opposite end of the land,
right,
and we can rent this out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now, when you do things like this, if you when you're talking about building a community, especially in the rural areas, right? It's some big costs to that, right? So we're talking about septics. So for 4 septics, we spent about $52,000, right? A well is going to run you $30,000.
Yeah, I saw you put those numbers out.
And then you're talking about electrical, like so you have to think when you buy land, how far off the highway do you want to be?
Right,
off the main road. So if you want to be in the back, well, now you got to bring all the water all the way back to where the homes is. It goes cost a little bit more extra. And another thing, a cost that we didn't expect, right? So when you have one home on a piece of land, let's say you got 20 acres, one home on that 20 acres. Well, there's one plumbing pipe around that big to make sure that home is functional. Well, when you add 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 homes, now that pipe needs to be like this. And they go tell you, hey, that pipe is $7,000 just for that little piece.
Wow.
You know, and you got to think, like I tell everybody, like, this one loans, this is all cash stuff, so your upfront cost is going to be higher, unless you know somebody, here in Texas, the part that we're on now is a whole bunch of limestone and stone under here. So that's an extra, $5,000
excavation.
And it's some extra cost to it, but I tell people you want to make sure you account for those extra costs, because it's easy to say, look, we got 3. Another thing, we got 3 homes. We just go slap them on there. It's like, nah, because now you got to add this stuff up, right? And so getting out here and doing this, right now, we've I paid $34,000. My mom paid $27,000 for hers. My sister's just $22,000. My younger sister, we got her house for $5,000. We totally flipped that. Like I said, when you got people who are in place with talent, give us some bullshit. Give us some crappy, rat infested, roach beat down single wides.
Right.
We go like the picture I put it on Twitter like a while ago. We go tear it all down. We go tear it all down, and we go build it right back up. Because here's the thing. We get a lot. We got one tear down now. We got for free. We got two houses on this land that we got for free.
Wow.
Period. Because here's the thing: once you get out in these rural areas, it's a lot of people who just buy land, who got houses sitting on their property they just want it gone. Yeah. So it's like you got to start seeing opportunity like that when you just kind of driving, you just see a Like, man, that single wide, that double wide look real shitty. We go knock on the door. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Hey, look, if I get this off your property, you know, you take $2,000 or $1,000, and they be like, "You gonna just take it?" I'm like, yeah, we're worried about transport and everything, and they give it to you, and you just gotta pay transport. Here, what we paid was $7,900. That's for a double wide, and that's
my first
3 hours away.
My first home was a mobile home. It cost $1,000.
Damn.
So, yeah,
And you save a lot of money.
you.
And so, because it's like, okay, when we were building, we're going to end up building on the other end of the property. My wife and I, we want a barn dominium. I didn't even know what the hell a barn dominium was until we started.
I've never heard of that term before. You said it just now.
Yeah, until we started looking for land, and you driving out here in the country, and you know you seeing things that's not a house, but it's not a house, but it look kind of like it's a steel building or it's a barn. You go in there, it's like, damn, this is dope. So those are barn dominiums, right? And then the thing, that's another reason. That's another thing you can do with taxes because they're not homes, right? They're not homes, so you can't tax them like homes. They are barns. You gotta learn how to play the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? That's what you gotta. So it can't be bedroom 1. It's stall 1.
Right.
It reminds me of that old Mitch Hedberg where he said he's like, fuck you, real estate lady. This house has 8 bedrooms in it. That bedroom has a toilet in it. That bedroom has a TV with some people on the couch watching it.
Yeah,
This bedroom is in the neighbor's house. Anyways,
And you're right, man. It is about playing the game.
Yeah, because that home we built is about 4,700 square feet, right? And we don't need it, but it's like we want it. Well, my wife really wants it. You know, whatever it is. I was taking her out the city. You know, we in the country now. I was like, whatever you need to be content, I'm fine with that, or whatever. But anywho, now you get that price tag versus $34,000, and now I don't have a mortgage. You know, let me relax for a little bit. We'll build that in a year or two. You know what I'm saying, on the other end of the property, and yeah, you just got to think smart like that. You got to think ahead of time. You know, catch and hold. I tell everybody, catch and hold. I still got the car. I still got my first car. Still got my second car. You know what I'm saying? Because I catch and hold everything. If you see me selling something, it's just because I don't sell anything.
Yeah, so you're saying that like that car is worth more to you than the $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever that
I paid for it already.
Kelley Blue Book because you already paid for it. Yeah,
why would I sell something that's bought?
Right.
You know what? We just go sit right over there on the land by the barn. Do it right? Yeah. Am I gonna drive it? Who knows?
Run it every now and then, just to kind of keep everything, keep all the lines supple and the fluids moving and everything.
My Nissan, we turned that because we train out here. We shoot, you know.
Yeah.
We train. We actually use that as like an assault vehicle. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Nice.
Drive up in the
Yeah, because y'all do like y'all do shit on the move and everything. Like y'all got like Top Shot fucking in your
Hey,
backyard.
let's talk about that for a while, man.
Yeah, we drive up in my 99 Tahoe, which was my second vehicle, my 99 Tahoe. Now we got to get out of this bad boy. You know what I'm saying? Now we worry about exits. How are you know what I'm saying? When you jumping out, how are you holding that rifle? How are you getting out of that thing to get back on target?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go shoot up the Nissan because you know what? That's where the bad guys are. They're in the Nissan.
Oh shit!
I
So
should've
you
done that
got
with
like a
my
movie
Honda.
prop on set, huh?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't. I'm like I said, I'm big on 2A, but I'm seriously big on training. Like this stuff didn't really get crazy until I moved to Texas because it's crazy gun culture down here, right? So start training with Marines and everything like that, and you kind of get in that mode, and training is fun. It's fun. It's some people are like, what do you need to know that for? It's like just in case some shit pop off. You know what I'm saying? It's different when you're in South Side of Chicago and you gotta air out some other things. You're not really. It's not tactical. It's more survival. It's fucking shoot back.
Were you in the military?
Now you on target.
Were you in the military?
No.
Okay.
Shout out to people who serve this country. I couldn't do it, but shout out to them. A lot of people need that focus and that discipline. I get it. Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah, I was not. I like briefly thought about it because I had a few friends that went to Marine recruitment and everything, and I almost went, and I was like, nah, I'm cool. So
I think you need to know your personality. I was gonna go because you know what excited me was like the snipers, the Grand Berets, Marines. You know what I'm saying? That's what excited me. And then I didn't get to go because I'm first of all my mother's only son, right? I got flat feet, and that for some reason flat feet just didn't work. I don't know what that was about.
No, I have flat feet too.
So it worked out because I'm like this. I've met guys that actually seen combat, you know, and they're a little off, you know. Especially the stories they tell, which they, you know, we'll get into all of that. But it's like, you know what, I'm good. I don't want that type of switch. Now, if I'm in survival mode, you know what I'm saying, cool. You know, you got to do what you got to do to survive. But me going in somewhere else to go kill people, possibly, it's not my thing. Possibly getting blown up. Nope.
Especially for oil and politicians, there's no way.
Right.
What happened to me, because I was actually approached by the Marines to join the nuclear program because I had really good ASVAB tests and all that bullshit. And, you know, frankly, I became a communist and I said, fuck this government. And I kept kind of some of that.
Yay, communism.
Right. Yeah, largely, yeah, that's true.
I highly considered the military when my brother went and my mom went. And then a black ass was like, do I really want to be yelled at for another how many years of my life? Nah, I'm good.
What's the pay?
Yeah.
I've been like, what's the pay?
Yeah, like I hear my brother like complain about the pay all the time. I'm like, I'm good on that unless you get married, and like that's when the benefits really start to roll in, and I'm like, a headache or not a headache.
I mean, they got a lot of people with their whole, hey, we gonna give you a Challenger, a Camaro, and they was like, sign us up, you know. And I know a lot of people who went for that, because it's just what it is. But you know, like I said, shout out to them. Some people need that discipline. Actually, I know a lot of people who came back because they were better focused and they had that discipline now, where they can be in an environment and they know how to thrive in a terrible environment. So they actually move their family out of that position, which is dope. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, hey, you still got to survive that. You still got to go through that mental terrorism. And a guy who served broke it down to me like this. He said, man, what changed my mind about it is, you know, I was over there. He was stationed in Afghanistan. He said, man, one of the locals came up to me. He said, now, why are you over here fighting with people and killing people that you more likely have more in common with than the people you with? And that hit him a little different. He's like, you over here killing brown folks for what? He said, because y'all can't take our shit. That's y'all really over here because y'all want our shit, and we won't give it to you. So now you want to take it. He said, me and you more likely have more in common with than the white guy right there.
Yeah, and Muhammad Ali said very similar things. You know, one of the reasons that he was so staunchly anti-war, and I'm going to fuck up the quote, so I'm not going to even attempt, but he more or less said, I'm not going over to this country to fight brown people, fight and kill brown people and enslave them for the white man. I'm not doing it. And he's 100% right, you know, and so But I do think that, you know, discipline in the warrior class, I'm with Adam on this, in that I think there's a big difference between being a warrior and being a soldier. And I'm neither, to be clear. I'm a philosopher. That's just not part of my mentality. But I respect the warrior mentality, and you don't have to be. In fact, the warrior and the soldier are two very different people. The warrior is fighting for what's right. The soldier is fighting for a politician who lied to him.
And see, I'm a warrior for my people, for my group. People on this land, and the people outside of that that's connected to us. Yeah. That's who I'm fighting for, because those are the people I know.
Your community.
You know, that is my community. You know what I'm saying? Not to say this is, if some people will take this as an anti-American thing, but that's not it. It's like, look, I'm not fighting for what this country is, the business of politics. No, fuck that. No, I'm good. That's not my thing. You know what I'm saying?
In fact, I won't fight for a country until it changes its flag from a warring flag to just a regular flag.
My flag
The
is
United-
black.
Yeah, the United States' flag is most definitely a warring flag, and people didn't know that little kids that stitched it up and with smiles on their face. It's like,
Yep.
so y'all still promote war, all flying and shining, and you're so gung ho for it, and nobody just knows the real facts behind it. And
You're right.
That's just not me. Like I respect all family members and all the people who defend or protect for my rights and things of that nature, but at the end of the day, the message, the cause, like, would you jump off the bridge if your mom or your friends told you to, like, or would you really like question, so guys, we ain't got anything better to do, and then whoop, whoop, whoop. And then guess what, you look like the idiot, or are you gonna be the smart one?
Right.
Right.
For me, it's the whole, are you proud of what you did? Because like we see even today, like here in Texas, you get that dang, what is the HB 373 bill, whatever. Anyway, they taking out basically Indian folks, Mexican folks, black folks. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's like, how can you talk about the great state of Texas and leave out the genocide, the murder, which made you great? You know what I'm saying? I don't understand that, because here's the thing. Am I proud of things?
I know what you're talking about. The thing that Abbott was pushing.
No, that was that Patriot.
That was the anti-CRT stuff.
Yeah. And it was another bill they tried to put through that took out like Frederick Douglass, Native Americans, and all this other stuff. It just kind of left a lot of white folks. All right, I'm like, because it's to combat the CRT thing.
Lost Cause Part 2.
They trying to combat. I tweeted about it. You can earlier. They trying to combat the CRT thing. I said, so we doing the white version of CRT still. That's what it is. Because I'm like, I think it's seriously disrespectful. How can you tell the lineage and the greatness of Texas with leaving out Indians and Mexican people? That's just never mind black people. How do you leave out natives and Mexicans? First of all, this supposed to be Mexico.
I was gonna say,
you know what I'm saying?
You go in somebody's house. You go in somebody's house and like you go to the bathroom, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna flip this doorknob around. I'm gonna lock people out of this bathroom, and now it's mine.
I'm gonna put the Vicodin in.
I'm gonna annex this bathroom. This bathroom is now my property, and then you start taking more rooms of the house over, and be like, no. If you try to come in here, you are an illegal immigrant. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Weird ass shit, man.
Yeah, and that's my issue. Is like, can you be proud of it? So when people say like the flag thing, it's like you can't just pick and choose what you're proud of. Understand something. Mm-hmm. Yes, you're great, but you're also ugly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You embrace that. Look, I am a Chicago guy. I'm a South Sider for real. You know what I'm saying? And that's what everything that comes with it. Well, I can sit here and say, look, you gonna have to put a dog down in the middle of the street. I mean that. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. Am I proud of it? No, but I understand to be beautiful, I had to get a little ugly. And I'm not gonna hide that. I'm not gonna hide it from my children. I'm not gonna hide it from anybody. It is what it is. I had to do what I had to do to get what I got. That's the American way. And I need America to just own up to, look, you had to do some ugly shit. Stop trying to hide it. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If the truth ain't worth shit if it ain't the full truth.
True.
Ain't no point to keep hiding it, because we gonna keep going in this circle. We gonna keep going in this damn circle of race and white supremacy and all this other bullshit, because why we don't want to deal with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Just deal with it so we can get over it and move forward.
No, because all it does is all you do is you stuff it and you harbor resentment. Go ahead, Marcus.
No, and that's what people don't get. When we're talking about anarchy, we're not talking about, throwing a big Molotov cocktail in the middle of everything. We're talking about what this thing right here says: evolution. We don't need the same bullshit that we needed 200 years ago. We damn sure don't need what we needed 600 years ago. How about we build on what we've learned? We learned with the experiment that has failed. To be clear, what we learned from the failed experiment is called the United States, is that people, when left to their own devices, are more successful than when they are controlled, like by a monarchy. So we learned what a republic was, and we developed that republic, and then we To go off of what Benjamin Franklin said, we lost that republic. We now have a bureaucratic dictatorship. That we have a dictatorship ruled by a bureaucracy, and so that bureaucratic dictatorship is a throwback to the old times. They're trying to go backwards instead of forwards. And what we need to start telling people is to do kind of like what you're talking about, recognize the dumb, stupid shit that this country did. It did dumb and it did stupid shit, but it also developed some really good, smart people who did really good things and evolved us forward. How about we try learning from those motherfuckers instead of going back like Frederick Douglass, like fucking, frankly, Geronimo in Arizona? Learn from these people, move forward instead of repeating the same tired old bullshit that we've been doing for a millennia. It is time to evolve. It is time to turn this country, if you will, into a freer nation. It is possible. Mm-hmm. And how you do it is by decentralizing it and by doing things like what you are doing, by developing communities, by going local, by making everything else not fucking matter. I would love for the presidential race to be like, who's going to vote for this stupid shit? I want to see where we just say, you know what? We held our elections last week, man. Timmy down the road's going to be the town president for the next,
right.
You know,
like the old the Monty Python thing. It's like, we're in a narco-syndicalist commune.
Right.
We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for a week, while all the decisions of that officer are ratified by a special biweekly meeting. And anyway, it's like, wait a second. So he's king for a week, but then all of his decisions get ratified every other week. So like nothing ever happens.
That's what we live in. That's what we live in. Because after Biden's administration is over, whoever's next, they go come and just they go erase everything he did. We go in this big ass circle jerk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's why we just stuck. Because here's the thing: we don't build off of what works, or take a program that's good and bad, and say, you know what, let's get rid of the shitty stuff, and we go build on what works. They be like, you know what, scrap it all. We go do something new. For what? Now we just start all over. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't come in and destroy the progress that was made from the last administration because you're a Republican or a Democrat. You just want to be a dickhead. You know what I'm saying? It's like if this is about the people, then we should always be progressing. You know, always moving forward. And that's a principle of the group. Upward mobility, always move forward. No matter what. I don't give a hell who is in the office. You know what I mean? It's not gonna stop us. Fine, you want to put in tax shit? You want to make us make us pay a whole bunch of money? We go find a way to circumvent. Hey, if Trump and a whole bunch of other rich folks can figure out a way how not to pay you, I'm sure I can figure it out a way too. Yeah. It may take a while, but you know what? We go find that tax code. True. We go find ways that we don't have to pay you anything. You know, and
work the system.
You got to work the system. You know, you got to work the system. And I think what I hate about how things work is this: these quick and broad fixes don't work for our country, because while we are individual states, you know, this whole
or even smaller. Even the states are too big, honestly. Like you have like in Louisiana, like and you probably are familiar with a little bit of this. North Louisiana has a lot more in common with like North Texas than it does with South Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like Shreveport, that area, the Shreveport, Monroe, all that stuff up there, Ruston and everything. They have a lot more in common with like Dallas and Fort Worth and Tyler and all that area than they do with New Orleans.
Correct.
They got nothing in common with New Orleans.
Correct.
And New Orleans runs the state.
Right. So people got to start understanding, like, look, people are individual states. So this whole loyalty to Republican, Democrat, whatever, that's just dumb. Because here's the thing. What works in this state may be different for Democrats. So what works in this state may be for Republicans, depending on the people in the communities that they serve it. You know what I'm saying? But then again, you put one or two people in charge of a mass group of people and say, hey, I'm going to make decisions for them. No, fuck that. Suck my dick. You're not going to make decisions for me at all because you make stupid decisions. You know what I'm saying? You're not fit to take out Native Americans and Mexicans. I'm not with that. Who made that decision? And I like Greg Abbott, but that's stupid as hell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This whole patriot fund. Listen, the reason y'all mad at CRT is because y'all keep wanting to push the shit under the rug.
Yeah.
If we just dealt with it, and if you just say, look, we just teach it all, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be here today.
If you didn't have government telling you what you could and couldn't teach in your classroom, then you wouldn't have that problem to begin with. If we were dealing with private school systems, none of that would matter. It would be whatever. If you didn't like what the teacher at this school was teaching, you'd go take them the other one over across the way, and they taught something different, so you would do that. You know,
all the stuff that they teach with that stuff is so stupid and useless anyway. Like, why are we focusing on all of that crap when you actually, like, I watched this really long interview, and it actually kind of ties in well with what we've been talking about. Jordan Peterson interviewed this I can't remember, Yeonwee Kim or something like that, I think is her name, from North Korea. They escaped North Korea, like, to South Korea, and then, like, they went to China, and anyway, she lives in the U.S. now. She said she went to Colombia, and well, first of all, she talked about, like, survival and how, like, some of the stuff you were talking about earlier, Yancey, about, like, when you're starving to death, like, there's stuff where, like, she said that somebody told her that, like, she can never be forgiven for the stuff that she did and she's like, but you don't know, like they like raped her mother in front of her. They did all kind of other stuff, and it's just like, you don't know. Sometimes people don't know. Like, it's really easy to have all these moral judgments on people when you're you know, sitting on Facebook on your iPhone, and you can postulate all this shit because you have this fancy lifestyle. Never mind the fact that iPhone was made by, like, Chinese slave labor, and that so much of the other stuff that you're getting is from us bombing innocent people all over the world. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, get the fuck out of here. You can't be forgiven for that shit either then, if that's the case. But anyway, one of the things she talked about was, like, at Columbia, everything was always something about, like, how it tied into all this, like, either racial stuff or some sort of, like, oppression or whatever. And it's like, at some point, to equip people, like, let's just say, like, for an example, what you guys are doing on your property, okay? How much of what goes into making that run properly and efficiently to where everybody is served, how much of that has to do with either, I don't know, critical race theory or gender studies or any of this other shit? Zero, exactly. So why the fuck is that shit even being brought up in school in the first place? Why is that the focus when, you know, you see some of these things that people post it all the time, these little math word problems, and the math word problem has some sort of, like, you know, social justice, you know, cultural commentary built into the word problem. And it's like, this is a fucking math word problem. Like, it should just be like, there's a car going this way this fast, and another car is coming from the other direction this fast. But no, it's like, there's a car with 3 white people, and they're all cisgendered, and there's a car, you know, and it's like, wait, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? I don't understand why are we talking about this shit?
Right.
Anyway.
And like, this goes back to something Nico mentioned earlier as far as school. Like, here's the thing. I would employ everybody. Like, the big thing in our group is here, even for people that can deal with it. Because, like, my wife, she can't deal with children on that type of scale. Then she got the patience, right? You have to learn how children learn, right? And it's up to you to educate your child, really, especially when it comes to life, when it comes to survival, when it comes to anything like that we kind of got going on here. Now, even with that, I would prefer homeschool for everybody, right? But that just doesn't work for everybody. Because here's the thing: this ain't about indoctrination. This ain't about segregation. My 5-year-old, my 6-year-old now, she does better in school. She likes being in school. You know what I mean? So what kind of asshole would I be like, no, they're indoctrinated. You just communist. It's like, no, here's the thing. You have common sense. I have common sense. So look, if they're teaching you some bullshit, I'm gonna teach you the real here. But you go there because that suits how you learn. You like to be around different people, around your friends, and right? And so it's like, that's how we handle education. People who want to be homeschooled and they thrive in that. They hear other people who need school, who need that environment of society of different people. They go to school.
Yeah.
Right.
I had somebody one time, they homeschooled their kids, and he told me, he was all proud too. He's like, somebody asked my daughter who the greatest president was of all time or something like that, and she's like, Ronald Wilson Reagan, and he was like all proud and everything. I was like, all right.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have chosen someone different.
There's some people who might disagree with you.
Yeah.
But so to that point, like, it's not like the indoctrination thing is if you're just trying to fight indoctrination with other indoctrination, you're so what I've tried to tell my kids is like whenever they come to me with stuff, because even when they come to me with stuff that I agree with, I'll challenge them, and I'll just be like, you sure about that? Explain to me why you think that, because I don't want them to just be like parroting stuff that they've heard other people say that they haven't thought through. It sounds convincing, it sounds good, and they haven't thought through a way to critically analyze it. And so what I'm trying to teach them is, okay, when you hear something, here is how you critique it.
Right.
Because that's the way that you get to the truth. Whatever it is that you arrive at and believe is the truth on the scope of opinions, you have to do it through critically thinking, not just like, Sean Hannity's real convincing and he's real powerful in his voice and he says stuff with conviction, so it must be true. And I heard him say it and I memorized it. Or Rush Limbaugh or Rachel Maddow or whoever, Joy Reid or what, like that. You have to be careful with that sort of stuff. It has to be more about teaching your kids not what to think but how to think, and then teaching them those fundamental things that are way more important. Like how to structure things, how to build things, how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, and all the other stuff is kind of the window dressing to me. I think those other things that we study are in a lot of cases they are a function of the luxury that we have lived in for a long time. Because that back to that girl in North Korea, she's like they didn't even have somebody said something. She had never even heard the term gay before, because it was just like she's just trying to get rice for tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
Like that kind of shit. It was just like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what any of this shit means. Like it's a whole different, we have a lot of, and I'm not saying that that's like a function of necessarily a function of luxury. I mean, people feel whatever they feel, but I'm saying like the obsession that we have over that stuff, over who's having sex with who, is a function of luxury.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck who's having, if I'm starving to death, you fuck whoever you want to fuck. I don't care. Like, who has food? Where can I get some food?
Yeah. Right. No, I understand, because they say, because since I go Hotep, right? They say, well, you have an issue with the LGBT. I said, why you say that? I said, no, I just posted a story of two black men. That's a couple. I said they were adopting children. I said that's what's important to me. Who they are, what they do. That doesn't. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm about the children. Is the children, are they healthy? Are they being taken? Are they out of the? It was 3 kids. They were siblings, and they were adopting them legally. It's like, that's what I care about. Those children are not in the system no more. You know, I'm like, I don't. It's my personal belief. Am I gay? No, but they are. So what? Like, and people, that's what I'm like. When you're a freedom and liberty minded person, you have to equally apply all the things that you live by. It's like, seriously, I don't have I don't, you know what I'm saying? Even if I did have a care that what it was, I can't, because my principles don't allow me to care. I can't go against my own principles,
Right.
And a lot of people don't live and stand on their own principles. You know what I'm saying? They start getting into these gray areas. It's like, nah, the standards I have for myself and what I stand on, I have to apply to all. That's equal opportunity. You know what I'm saying? That's equally applying everything. You know what I'm saying? And certain people can't do that because they want to be right or they want to voice their opinion. Your opinion don't mean shit in anybody else's lives. You know what I'm saying? Especially in anybody else's lives that you're not responsible for.
Sure. Well, everybody has decided to take up the I'll say the throne on being an expert on how everybody else should move in their life. Everybody has become so engulfed with everybody else's life but their own, and like managing and maintaining their own thought processes and not trying to enforce it, because damn, it fucking feels great when I'm right. Like, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. When you're right about something, it's like, oh wow, I'm intelligent. Like, I'm glad I was able to inform. But like, majority of how conversation and a lot of the rhetoric goes is like, ice cream is for gay people, and if you disagree, I swear to God, you will be canceled. No, nigga, I just like ice cream.
Right.
So it's kind of sad how it's like taking a turn, and people's opinions are irrelevant unless society has gave them that big okay and a stamp.
People got to get comfortable with not being liked, but not being accepted, and being misunderstood. That's perfectly fine. Look, I'm not for everybody. Some of my opinions are strong. You know what I'm saying? But then again, like I said, what I do doesn't affect you. You know what I'm saying? And what you eat don't make me shit. So it is what it is.
Jonesy said, I just logged on and I'm confused. Right. Yeah, we just kind of went.
Go back and watch from the beginning, brother.
We went a little left there for a second. I wanted to ask you, since Ebony's in the chat, when we were in Atlanta for the Solutionary Summit, we were in the car and we were driving. I heard you and Ebony talking about y'all were going to vote for Jo Jorgensen, and I'm sitting in the back. I'm like, wait, I'm the only white dude here, and I'm the only one voting for Kanye. Come on now. So, but I do want to ask, like, what was it? I mean, obviously, hearing you talk about this stuff with, from a freedom and liberty minded perspective, but you've also talked about like the left right, Democrat Republican construct and everything. What was it that put you in that in that way of thinking, where Jo Jorgensen was the person who you thought made the most sense?
When it comes to the presidency, this is how I view it. Me personally, how I go about it. Do I have to compromise myself to vote for you? If I do, I'm not voting for you. So Jo Jorgensen was the candidate. I didn't have to compromise me, and I didn't have to shit on black people. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I looked at that. You see what I'm saying?
It's a fucked up predicament they have black folks in, isn't it? It's like I got either. Oh,
so people's like, I'm voting for Joe by default. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I have with the current president. You know what I'm saying? Even though that 94 crime bill, that was a community, that was a bipartisan thing, right? But Joe, he championed that, and he took pride in that. I did that. I got the assault ban and blah 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 blah, right? Well, 96 is when my father was murdered, right? You know how he was murdered? He wasn't murdered with a gun. What they did was they took nails and screws, they drew him in 2x4s and bats, and they beat him with it. Dropped him off in front of a hospital. He had to die from heart attack, right? So it's like, in my own personal life. And then what happened behind that, because like I told you protect your own. I believe in you protect your own, right? And that's what our family and group believes in. So a lot of things happened after that. But anyway, so my brother, one of my brothers ended up going to jail. And what happened? He got falsely accused for a retaliation that he had zero to do with, and he got murdered in jail, right? So I'm like, this is all the crime bill, right? So it's like a lot of people who have issue with is what they were never really affected by it. I take issue with it because I was personally affected by it. I'm like, who did this save? Personally, it saved nobody from, you know what I'm saying? I'm up to 34 family members of gun violence, It's just, so it's like, that didn't save me. That created more problems for me, because, now we have to get into a whole bunch of other things, and there's a whole bunch of dominoes that have to fall now. So that was my thing with Joe. And then there's the list of other. It's like, wait a minute. He's been in. Just look at his track record for me. It's like, okay, fine. He's supposed to be this black savior, right? He's supposed to be the guy. He's for black people. He's gonna save us from the orange guy. All right, cool. Well, let's look at his track record. This man has been here for over 40-some years. Like, what does he have to say for it? Don't tell me, oh, he was with Obama and Obama picked him. What does that mean to me?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What does that really mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm all for people coming together as a monolith and making an informed decision. Like, you know what? We all for the move this way because of this. But don't tell me this motherfucker go save me from somebody else. Because especially if you're talking white supremacy. If you person who believes in white supremacy, how can you vote for either one?
Richard Spencer endorsed Biden.
Right.
So,
You know, that's why I never understood that for people who really stand on that white supremacy hill. How can you vote for either one? Especially if your vote is not even a plan. It's not a large scale plan, like a group. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like we all had a black meeting, like, hey, this is who we go vote for because this is where we need to get. It's like, oh, we go vote for him to get rid of this guy, but we don't know what we go get. And another lie I hate what people tell is we go hold them accountable. America,
how are you gonna do that?
You cannot hold a sitting president accountable. And if you could, why Trump ain't in prison right now? From all the evidence that you say that,
or anybody else,
or anybody else, right? Why are these people not in prison? You know what I'm saying? Like, stop it. Can we listen? Stop lying. Stop lying to the people, whatever color they are. You see what I'm saying? You're lying to them and trying to get votes, and that's irritating to me. So with Joe Jorgensen, I ain't had to do with none of that. I ain't had to deal with none of it. Joe Jorgensen, she talk about, you know, police reform and prison reform and all that. I'm like, oh, that's okay, that's dope. And I always thought libertarians, you know, I always think they have the best plans, especially on those things. You know, do they fall short on a lot of other places? Of course, you know what I'm saying, because it is what it is. I feel like a lot of them don't want to really step in the race. They just kind of want to be there, like, hey, we just an alternative, but we don't want the responsibility.
Yeah,
yeah. So even though I know from the Republican and Democrat Party, there's a lot of money that goes into lawsuits to actually keeping really, really good people off the ballot.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because look, they don't want you to fuck up the money. You know what I'm saying? I think they work together very well. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And,
no, they definitely have all the same sponsors. That's for sure.
So that's why I refuse to be part of that whole right left thing. I'm going to hate you because you're a Democrat. It's like, no, I know some really good people that are Democrats. I know some really good people that are Republicans. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
right. And one of the things that's always struck me is, and again, I'm probably going to fuck up the quote, but somebody once said, and I don't remember who it was, but they said, you know, these people that are murdering and killing people all over the world, do you really think they're going to give up that power because you voted? And you know, they're not. So the Libertarian Party, at best, is just you know, throwing your middle finger up to the system as it is. That's at best. At worst, it's the place where liberty activists go to do nothing, and that has been
contrasted with what Yancey's actually doing.
Right.
Yeah. with what you and your family, your whole community is doing,
right,
compared to. And I'm not saying, like, I mean, that's cool that you saw Jorgensen as of the choices for president that were available. But I think that the first hour and a half that we spent talking to you was a much more valuable use of time than talking. I just had to bust your balls about that. I thought it was funny. It was kind of a joke.
What we do as a whole with group economics and the community living thing, people have to understand that cannot, and that's why I'll be trying to tell Felicia, it cannot be something like that's mass produced like on a government level. It won't work. No, you know what I'm saying? Right. It won't work at all because this is based off of a community of people with like minds who are actually want to live that village type of lifestyle,
right?
And work together as to a common goal, to feel safe, to raise children, to get themselves out of the rat race. You know what I'm saying? That's a common goal that you should get with people and do, because here's the thing: we all sitting out here. I think it sucks to be just an individual out here in America. You know, because you can fall by the wayside. You can be in poverty and be in despair and be just really fucked up because you're in a bad place because you're individual. And they here in America they praise that. You know, you're individual. You're like, fuck all that. No, I don't want to be an individual. Put me in the group. Put me in the group and we gonna strive together, because that way, if we do fail, it's a lot easier to bounce back. You know what I'm saying?
But you're still respectful of the individual, even within your community.
Because you take care of your own.
Right.
Take care of your own. Right. So it's like, Go ahead.
What you're talking about is cooperation, not coercion, though. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a group of people coming together and cooperating. When it becomes a problem is when you have to do this, when you're forced to do that. Voluntary cooperation is how all society is based.
And that's going back to failed experiments with America. That's why forced integration hasn't worked. That experiment is big failure. And this whole forced inclusion ain't gonna work either. Big ass circle jerk. We just going in a whole different circle now, But it's the same thing. Forced integration, forced inclusiveness. You know what I'm saying? All inclusive. Now we can't say mother. Stop it.
Yeah. And now you contrast that big government, because you were saying like how it's difficult to do this to kind of scale it up, right?
Yeah.
To 330 million people. Okay. So, but if you think about it, like think of the folly of like there are people still like, I mean, Marcus and I talk to them on a daily. I'm sure you do too, Nico. You probably do too. When you're talking to, whether it's in your family, in your neighborhood, or whatever, or at work or anything like that. Because I know you don't get into as many arguments on Twitter as we do, Nico. But but whether it's with my coworkers or with family or anything like that, there's still this like very, very strong. It's like a brain worm that people have, that they really believe that if we just got the right handful of people in Washington, D.C., that somehow we could turn this monstrous system into the perfect thing for 330 million people living in all these different terrains, all these different sizes of community and everything else. And the reality is what you are doing, what you have there is the solution. It's finding people who agree, where there's a consensus that is voluntary, to build something and build forward and to like you said, to take care of your own and to build and to all benefit from it and to all contribute to it, and to do so on a voluntary basis. And when you keep it small enough, that's where you actually have the ability to make that accountable. As soon as you start getting huge, now all of a sudden you're going to have freeloaders who aren't going to pull their weight. And then you're going to have people who are like pissed off about that. And then they're going to try to do something with that. It gets it to where it's really hard. It's really easy to exploit that system, and it's really easy to turn that into, well, now to get rid of the exploitation, we're going to have to start cracking down on stuff. And now you fucked everything up. And now like even the growth is stunted because you've done all that stuff. And that's the contrast that I see. And it's, I'm really appreciative of the stuff that y'all are doing and how that kind of creates an opportunity and like I don't want to say a blueprint for other, but it at least gives to me like a spark for whether it's me or Nico or Marcus or any of the folks that are watching or listening to this, to think of like, okay, well, maybe I can't do it exactly the way that they're doing it, but what can I learn from what they're doing to kind of model something that fits my community and that I can, team up with some people to do.
Yeah, even if it's your immediate family, you know what I'm saying? Whether if you have adult children or just your sister, your mother, your auntie, you can say, look, we all need to, this little block right here, we need to buy all these houses. That way we can make this our little community. Or Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. It's very doable. It don't have to be a large scale of anything, because it's about community. That can be 4 people, that can be 200 people, but it is such thing as too big. That's why something like this won't work for a city. It won't work for a state or country, because here's the thing. With America's problem is that we have too many cultures here. And in that America wants to force this one mindset, this one culture. Like, no, that doesn't work. And that's when you start hearing people talking about, so we need to assimilate. Why the hell I need to assimilate? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not Borg. You're right. And I always pull back from that one of those Joe Biden clips when he said, it's not our African this or Chinese that, it's our European roots. I'm like, well, I'm not a fucking European. You know what I'm saying? So no, it's not our. No, I'm not a European. You see what I'm saying? Right. So we need to get to a point where the American culture is different cultures, and we respect that, and we respect their space if they want to be separate segregated in their own space. You know, they'll come out and deal with everybody when they want to. Here's the thing: if they're not hurting nobody, why would we care? This forced, everybody needs to be all inclusive. We need to be one. It's so that unity is so fake. I'm tired of fake unity.
Yeah, you know for real.
Because that's what got this country being set on fire. Y'all didn't lie to these kids for generations. Yep. Y'all said we was unified and it was one American, blah, blah. And then they become 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And now they face with the real world, you know, and they like, y'all are lying pieces of shit. When you seeing riots out there, let's be real, you seeing everybody out there. You seeing white people, Mexicans, you seeing everybody out there, black people, because you know why? These kids are like, you know what, y'all are lying pieces of shit, and we're tired of it now.
Yeah, and you've sown distrust, you've sown anger, you've sown sadness and depression, you've sown resentment. Like all of that stuff has been sown by this ideal of this, like you called it, this fake unity, where like when you realize that what you've been sold is a counterfeit, and you've based so much of your belief in humanity on that, what you've lost in that is that you've lost like a real connection with humanity. People don't talk to their neighbors anymore. They go inside, they close the garage door behind them, or they close, you know, they go in, they set the alarm, they, you know what I mean? All that shit. And it's, you don't even talk to each other. And then instead what you're doing is you're watching stuff on TV, and the Disney Channel or the little sitcoms or whatever, or CSI or whatever the fuck that you watch on TV. That's your community now. And then they're feeding you their agenda, and then you're getting all these commercials about unity and about all this other stuff, and you get like the you know, the protest commercials and the voting commercials and all this other kind of shit that we were seeing all like the end of last year, and then the dust settles after the election, and it's the same fucking shit.
Same bullshit. The same bullshit.
Yep. Same.
Just higher gas prices.
same bullshit with higher gas prices. Exactly. Well, so real quick before we completely run out of time, I do want to talk about, because you talked about like, you know, training with you know, the firearms and everything else, but you also, from what I have witnessed on your Twitter feed, you have become quite the accomplished marksman with the bow. So where you get the archery skills? When did you start doing that, and how did that become part of the deal?
If they would go take our guns, I was like, well, shit, I might as well start getting into something that's always loaded. You know, so you know, I always got into things that they quote unquote didn't say were black. You know what I mean? Archery, I think, is super dope. It takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of patience. It's my golf, you know, that's my golf. And it's fun. I started doing it because I needed I was entering in another space where I needed to focus. And the things that I've always kind of done kind of got old, you know. You need to put yourself in different routines. And archery was a different level of focus and concentration and frustration.
Breath control and everything, like you really got to have that.
It has to be, you got to be disciplined in your steps that you take to be consistent in those shots. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I got into that, and I just so happened to really just fall in love with it, and all my kids got into it. You see, I have my 6-year-old be out there, my 15, my 12-year-old, they got bows. I think the only ones who ain't got bows in here is my wife and our 19-year-old. So, but it's fun. It's a good family sport, and the culture in the archery culture is super, super dope. It's very welcoming. And I love the people when I go there. I go there every Thursday, so I'll be there tomorrow, and we'll be in the league or whatever. And all
right,
I love the people, man. I think putting yourself in different rooms, you know what I'm saying, and exposing yourself to different things. You know what I'm saying? You get out there, you get to meet new people, you get to have different experiences. Like even bow fishing. Bow fishing is seriously fun.
Yeah.
I never knew what the hell bow fishing was. But yeah, now I'm out here bow fishing.
Oh, for real? You doing it?
All right. I'm doing that too, man. This is crazy.
That's
good
dope.
time.
Is it always? Are you always tethered, or is that the only way to do it? Because I imagine like if you shoot it, you gotta be able to bring it back, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. Right. So what you see me doing, that's archery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, just straight up. Right.
So for bow fishing is a whole different boat. And it's a fishing line on it as well. So when you shoot that bad boy, you can
almost like a harpoon.
You can really back in, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You can really back in, or you can drag it back in. It's seriously fun. I like it. But it was just another discipline that added on to my love for firearms. You know.
Yeah.
Like that post I made the other day where I realized that the gun law anti-AR-15 crowd, they really aimed at y'all. They aimed at white men with guns. Mm-hmm. They aimed at black people. You know, because they think since black people are Democrat that we not about to say our Second Amendment, you know, and that's why I always engage in those conversations, and they never respond because they don't know how. All the white men, they go at y'all, they talk about y'all mental health, y'all overly patriotic, y'all want to kill everybody, you know what I'm saying, white supremacy, this and blah blah, you know, and this is other white people saying. I'm like, whoa, what the
white people don't get the break, huh?
Yeah, I get on there spitting my freedom, my freedom and liberty stuff. It'd be crickets because they don't know what to do with a black person that's talking about the Second Amendment, you know what I'm saying, and walking in that because it's aimed at y'all are the target. So I wish you white men to stop fucking it up for all of us.
Dude, we're just
not even doing anything.
We're realizing we need to be friends with y'all. We're like, oh hell no, let's go hang out with Hotaps because
shit. I got them out here acting crazy. You know? Nobody needs an AR-15. It's a weapon of war. Okay, take it to war and see how it work out for you.
Yeah, right. So and my thing with that is like, fuck that. Like the whole point of the Second Amendment in the first place is that we're supposed to have the same weapons that the warmongers have.
Right.
So that we can fight back against them, man.
The next play is it was written when they had muskets. I'm like, it was a Gatling gun that was out too, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That bitch could unload too, man.
If people can identify how they want to freely, if people can love who they want to freely, you know what I'm saying? Why are these people so damn concerned about if I own an AR-15 freely? If I'm not hurting nobody, why do you care? You know what I'm saying?
Because they can't put you under their thumb.
Mm-hmm. And then they have this caliber fight. Oh, it's about the 5.56 223. It's meant to destroy. I'm like, yeah, that's what you do to a threat. You put it down.
Right.
That's how that works. You know, like no, you can shoot to wound. I said, look, I don't care if it's a 22 or 380 or 9mm. If I'm feel threatened and there's a threat in my home, it's not getting up. You know,
that's what I was gonna say. These people obviously never seen a damn horror movie where they shoot the guy one time and then they're like, all right, he's dead. And they just walk past him. I'm like, how come you didn't put 6 in his head to make sure he didn't grab your leg when you walk by and then kill you?
They see too many movies. Always happens. They think everything's automatic and they think everybody John Wick. No.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Do you know how hard it is to shoot somebody in the leg while they running or moving at you? That's retarded. It's not. It's sorry, you're gonna die. That's what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And they get mad, like, why do they just keep shooting them? Because legally, you cannot legally shoot somebody, then stop and be like, oh, boom, 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 boom. Now that's a felony. You're going to jail. You're going. So it's like people got to understand the laws that govern them and why people do certain things, like keep shooting until the threat goes down. That's because you're supposed to.
Yeah. You know? What was the thing? What did Joe Biden say? He said you can go outside on your front porch with a double-barreled shotgun, put 2 warning shots in the air. It's like
buy a shotgun.
Yeah, buy a shotgun.
I did that.
Go with a double-barrel shotgun. Put 2 shots into the air. I'm like, okay. So now what? Now what are you going to do? Now that you've threatened them with 2 shots in the air, and they come at you.
Oh shit! Wait right there.
I guess you got to get the swinging. that shotgun just turned into a baseball bat, I guess.
Right.
Because that's all it's good for.
I got a shotgun. It's on the AR-15 platform, right?
Oh yeah.
Nico just dropped out.
He sure did. Yeah, it's on the AR-15 platform, right? And so I asked one of the anti-gun people. I said, so what is this? They said it's a weapon of war. I said, no. Biden said go get a shotgun. This is a 12-gauge shotgun. He's like, no, it's not. I'm like, it is. It just has a magazine. It's on the AR platform, but that is a 12-gauge shotgun. I shoot skeet with it.
Oh, I need to get one of those. That sounds raw.
It's my VR80. I posted pictures of it. It's like
that's beautiful. I haven't seen that. I gotta look at it. Okay.
I said, see, this is what I'm saying. Y'all be talking about stuff that y'all don't know what y'all talking about, because if because y'all see a weapon. I'm like, I did exactly what Mr. Biden said. He said, go get a shotgun. I did. It's just on the AR platform. You don't know what you're talking about. You see something that looks mean and like, oh, it's a weapon of war. Like, no, look, things evolve. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The reason people like AR-15 platforms because unlike the president said that they're hard to shoot, that's 100% lie. The thing is, AR-15s are extremely easier to shoot. You know, that's the draw to them because they're easier to handle. I will hand my 12-year-old AR-15 before I handed them a handgun. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because they can't really handle the handgun, but the AR-15 has total control over it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the draw to it. It ain't because you can kill at an alarming rate. I was like, it shoots a semi-automatic weapon. The thing is, it's easy to shoot. Yeah. That's what if y'all go argue against it, at least argue with truth.
Right,
you know
right.
Then they lose. It ain't about magazine, because if we talk about magazine, you want to give fine. You want to limit me to 10 or 5? Cool. I can reload under 2 seconds, and guess what? I'm still shooting your ass. You know what I'm saying? What like if you go argue, just argue the right way. You know what I'm saying? Argue, and the people that had these caliber arguments, the reason they irritate me for the simple, this is coming from people who has never been shot or been shot at. You just think about if he was going to go do some insidious with a firearm. You walk up to a person, hey, person I'm about to kill, do you want the 380, the 9mm, or the 5.56? You know what I'm saying? That's just, it doesn't matter. A bullet is a bullet. You just, right. You know what I'm saying? So it's meant to put you down. You know what I'm saying? And so I'll be like, if you ever Google knife fights, sword fights, UK pops up all the time. Mm-hmm. And I watch that shit in terror. You know what? Please shoot me. Shoot me. I don't shoot. Listen. All this, I'm like, they hacking at each other. It's gashes. No, just shoot me. Just shoot. I'm good. I don't want to do that. You know, we've progressed. Don't stab me to death. It takes a mentally ill, disturbed person to stab somebody to death.
Yeah, sure. You got to feel it then. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Yancey, it has been awesome having you on. I have learned a boat ton. I mean, a boat ton. And I will likely put what I've learned into action over the next few years. And one of the things that I did want to say before signing off from my portion is that I had a conversation today, reinforce this idea. What we're looking at in the future, we don't really know. Whether we are talking about, economics, or we're talking about the future of freedom, what it looks like to not have a state, we don't know. And people that tell you they do know, they're full of shit. They do not know what it means to not have a state. They have no idea what that looks like, because we don't have it in large scale anywhere, and virtually never have. And so, at least in recorded history. So we don't know what we're going to be looking at. But what we can prepare for is things like what you are doing. We can see how these things work and move in the direction of self-sufficiency and being able to take care of ourselves, because that's what it means to not have a state. As much as I dislike the state, they do accidentally help people sometimes. Now, they never intentionally help people, but they do accidentally.
Depends on what people we're talking about. They do intentionally help some people.
Their friends and
they have their partners who they help, right, on purpose.
But what you're doing, Yancey, is absolutely preparedness from every angle of what you've talked about for what it means to not have a state. Because we have to be ready to take care of ourselves, our family, and the people that we consider our community. So I encourage people to follow you on Twitter. I encourage them to learn from your experience. I certainly have and will continue to. Thank you. I really appreciate this. This may be the most practical knowledge I've learned in any of our shows, and I really appreciate that. And thank you for coming on. And again, if anybody needs to look you up, we have your Twitter down below. And keep doing what you're doing and stay in touch, because as I build, Marktopia up here, we'll need to like trade with your little community eventually too.
Definitely. That's what it's about. It's about self-sufficiency, because here's the thing, we don't need government to live in peace. We don't need government to strive. That's a us thing. Wherever it got lost and said that was the government's job, that's what we fucked up at as humans, and we let that ride. Of course, you want to use them as a stepping stool, but you do not want to rely on that faction at all. When it comes down to it, learn to be self-sufficient in all areas. We talk about food and everything else because it's the government. They're not really here to help us. They're here to do business.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Nico, you've been fairly quiet, but do you have any questions or anything like that you want to before or any parting words you want?
For one, thanks for busting my balls. I most definitely was quiet because I was just getting a whole bunch of gems dropped on me. I've always thought of this concept of getting a community together, and here Yancey is just laying down the blueprint. It's not terribly difficult. It doesn't sound terribly difficult, but it's to each his own. This is most definitely something that I'm going to pick at as well, because who wouldn't want to live in a community where you could get your fresh milk in the morning, or go get you some eggs, or know that you're about to go to firearm practice or something like that. It's a beauty and it's a blessing to actually see somebody who's able to perform and get communities and successful communities at that have not been terrorized or threatened by the government, from my knowledge, that is. But at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing to see, and it just gives me inspiration to do something just as great.
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I said, it doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be big. Even if it's just your immediate family, and that's a community. That's you insulating to protect everybody. To everybody can grow. Everybody can thrive. Because I believe in that. You have to reach down and reach back to pull people up. And make sure they on the right path. Because when it's just you, if you're an individual and you succeed, you're still just you. That's why a lot of people who succeed still be having mental shit going on, because they're alone in all of that. The thing is to be self-sufficient and be together. For real, a village for real. This is a community living. There's a lot of pieces and a lot of things that you kind of got to tame, and a lot of things you really got to dial in what's important to you as an individual, and you got to know or willing to journey out to understand what you add to a group.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So Chad, you got something?
Yeah. Well, all right. So Yancey, you don't have to stick around for this, but since I promised it earlier today on Twitter and I just realized that I forgot about it, I have a little brief story to tell about the time that I was used as part of a police barricade without my knowledge or consent. So if you want to stick around for that, you can. But if you got a dip, it's cool. I understand because I know it's getting late. Okay. All right. So we saw this this video that came out this morning or maybe late last night about this pregnant woman that this cop performed this pit maneuver on her and rammed her into a concrete retaining wall on the highway. She was speeding, and so she slowed down and put on her flashers and all that stuff and gave every indication that she was intending to pull over. She was just finding a safe spot to do so. He wasn't satisfied with that and damn near killed her. There's been quite a Twitter storm about that today. And I just wanted to share, because that infuriated me. And I really, really try hard not to lump people into categories, together with other bad actors. But there's so much evidence so often that I see that, I think the structure and the system puts a lot of police, if not most or all police, in this position of, I have a hard time finding it, completely redeeming in any of them. I think there are some good folks out there, and I think they have some redeeming qualities, but there's a little bit of a taint to every one of them. Well, not taint, that's not right. But anyway, you know what I mean. They're a little tainted. My bad. So here's my little story.
Fuzzy taint.
I was working at a TV station back in the 90s, and I had to be there. I did the Saturday morning and Sunday morning. I directed the news show that we had over there. So I had to leave my house at like 5:30 in the morning, drive downtown, and I'm on the interstate, and there was some construction going on. The same kind of thing. There was, a very small shoulder, like maybe a foot or two on either side, very, very contained. And I'm going, it's pitch black. It's like 5:45 in the morning. And in my rearview mirror, I see like a couple of cars gaining on me pretty fast. And I'm coming up to this spot where where it's going to narrow 2 lanes and very short shoulders. I see these cars coming. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And so then I realize, okay, one of these is a cop. And I'm like, all right, fuck, am I speeding? No, I'm not speeding. All right, I'm cool. Well, this other cop and another car are like hauling ass. This one's got the flashes on and everything. Well, this other cop pulls up right next to me. And I'm wondering, like, what the fuck is he doing? He's just like right next to me, literally like keeping pace with me the whole, like he pulled up and then he just basically kept pace with me the whole way. And I see these cars coming. I'm like, they're not going anywhere. Like they're barreling up my ass, and they're gonna kill me. And so I'm just like, I'm at a loss. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I can't get off the interstate. I can't do anything. And this cop is right here, and he's going side by side with me. And eventually, like, he starts to pull away, or so I thought. And then he slows down again and pulls back this way. Well, basically, the car that they were chasing rams him from behind. He starts spinning. I don't know how I survived. Like, there's cars bouncing around between the retaining walls and everything, hitting back and forth on me. I went through it completely unscathed. I slammed on my brakes, and like finally they like spun around. The car that they were chasing, it was facing the wrong way. The cop car is facing sideways. Nobody flipped over or anything like that. But the guys jumped out of the car and took off running. And so I'm saying all that to say that, like, when I saw this thing go down and I see all the people defending the cops, and they're saying like, she should have just done this or she should have done that, and basically blaming her for what happened. I think of myself in that situation that I was in, and I think, okay, what the fuck was I supposed to do? And what kind of excuse would be made if the footage of that thing got out and I got killed in that wreck? Because that cop completely 100% used me as an extra so that car could not go around him.
Right.
He used me. He was okay with sacrificing me to stop. And for all we know, the guys they were chasing may have like knocked off a liquor store or something.
Or had weed.
Or had weed. Yeah, some bullshit. Like, is that worth an innocent person? And I don't know what, like, this woman was speeding in an SUV on a road in the middle of the night where it's like, you could see there were hardly any cars on the road. Mm-hmm. Like, what fucking threat is she really? And there are people talking about this shit like she was a threat. She was about to hit another vehicle. Like, she was slowing down with her flashes on. She was not about to hit anybody.
Right.
Anyway, so that's my little story. I promised I would tell the story. And what's that? Yeah.
I said, fuck 12. The police. Pig lives matter.
Anyway, it was just that was some bizarre shit, and I I don't know. I felt like I had to like give my little window into that kind of shit, because that like floored me. Like, I don't know if I had like PTSD, but I was in shock. I was just like, outside of myself for a few hours after that. Like, I got to work and I was like, y'all, I'm gonna go through this show, but if I fuck some stuff up, just understand I'm not in my right head right now, because I just almost died. So anyway, that's that. Thank you for staying around to hear that story, everyone, including you, Yancey. I appreciate it. And again, thank you so much for coming on. This was really, Marcus was not lying. Like, in terms of like real concrete application type stuff, and things to think about. This is one of the best episodes we've ever done. So we really appreciate you for bringing that to us.
Yeah, man. Yep. I appreciate the invite, for real.
Much love, brother, man. All the time. And again, if anybody hasn't already followed him on Twitter, please do so. He's very insightful, and so give him a follow as well. And just building bridges, man. You're one of the good ones, and I'm glad that you're on our side.
No.
Always.
Chad, you want to take us out?
All right, everybody. We love y'all. Marcus, hit him with it.
All right. Stay free, my friends.
Peace.